Hi, and welcome back to Sagat Hunter's YouTube channel. This camera's weird. This is my 5th test of my non-sanded pastel paper sample pack from Jackson's. This is Fabriano Tiziano Pastel Paper 160 GSM. It's fairly stiff. Has a medium rough surface, I'd say. Not a huge difference between the two sides. It feels a little bit like the Lana color, the pastel paper from Hanamula that I started with. It's the same paper width and the same kind of stiffness. In my previous video I was testing the Ingress pastel paper from Fabriano, and the surface on that was too smooth for pretty much everything but the oil pastels. The oil pastels was fantastic. So what I expect from this is that it will maybe be a little bit better with colored pencils than the Ingress paper, but I'm not sure how good that is gonna be, but it could be really good for the pastels. The pastel pencils I have at this point totally given up on. The Ingress from Fabriano was kind of okay with them, but not really good. I'd say they grabbed onto the paper better than the soft pastels did, but I'm getting more and more to the point where it's the pencils and nothing else that is the matter. So I will try and pause the camera and make up a sketch of something, and I'll go on with the colored pencils again. Be right back. So I sketched up kind of a cone shell. I got in trouble at the top here, but it's okay. I got a little taller than I expected. So, as with the others, I will try and color this in with Pro Colors. And I'm trying to pick out some different colors I could use. I think I'll go with some reds and pinks and stuff, because this is nothing in particular that I drew up any particular species, so I can call it however I like. Well, I can tell you what, this is not gonna be fun. It does not seem to, well, maybe it's just because it's a pale color I took for starters. It feels like it's not grabbing onto the pigment all that fun. Yeah, maybe. Don't be too hasty. It's better than I thought. That's good. I feared it was going to be quite a frustrating thing to do, but it's not that bad. It was just that that shade apparently was too close to the shade on my paper. The texture of the paper shows through, as it has done with quite a few of the others, and that is not a surprise. It is a textured paper, and this is a hard pencil, so that is what happens. If you like it, it's good. If you don't like it, you need to pick a smoother paper. or a paper without this kind of texture. It yeah, so my first fear there has been put to shame. It took the color okay. It was just because it was a poor choice of color I had, and it feels nice to layer on as well. I'm using kind of a light to medium pressure here on my pencil. I don't want to go in too heavy. It's a hard pencil, so it won't give off a lot of pigment in each layer, but it gives you some control over your blending and shading that you don't get to the same extent with the softer pencils. But you need some patience to build up your layers. From start to finish. You don't get the same quick result as with softer pencils. Another way of using soft and hard pencils is to use them together. I could do this with a soft pencil and then go in with a harder one and define my details and my lines at the end. That would actually be a very smart way to use my pencils. But yeah, I could use this. I'm quite sure. No, I was a little heavier handed up here. And that was my bad. Better try and stay frame. So yeah, it feels okay. I could use this to with colored pencils, that's for sure. Now I also liked for colored pencils the Clairefontaine Ingress paper, which is even heavier textured than this. But I like this one as well. I'd have to look up what the price difference is and things like that, and the availability for me. I'll zoom out a little bit so I don't have to move the paper quite so much. So yeah, this is nice paper, and I like it's kind of got that spring to it. I don't like, in general, not absolutely, but in general, I don't like working on thin paper. I like when I can feel that there's something there. And also when I am finished with something that is not just a rough sketch like this, but when I've really put maybe a week's worth into a drawing, I like to have it on some paper where it feels like something, and it kind of has some weight to it. Now this is a dark sepia, so let's see how well that works on the layers. Not well. The Clairefontaine paper was better for that, for layering. I want to try. I didn't do this on the first video, so I'm sorry about that. It's kind of an idea that came as I was filming, and I've been watching other videos and stuff. I filmed this over more than a week since the first one. So this is my Pro Color blender marker, and I saw somebody use this kind of, or said that you could use this kind of blender as for blending colored pencils, and I thought it did work on some, not so good on the Ingress paper from Fabriano. Yeah, I think this is too absorbent. I can see the pigment move around, so it will smoothen it up. And now it gets so dark, and it gets so dark because the paper is absorbing the ink, or whatever you would call it, from the marker. So I would really dry out my marker super fast using this paper with this. So it works. I'll pause the camera and let this dry, because now I'm kind of stuck a little bit. It did work. I can see it smeared out some of the stuff here, but you can't judge it because it's soaking wet. So I'll pause the camera, let it dry, and come back. Now it is drier, but it's not super dry. What happened here was actually I ruined the texture of the paper with that marker, probably because it soaked the paper, and even though I wasn't pushing hard with the blender, I flattened the texture. Up here there's still lots of texture, but now this feels a lot flatter. So I don't think this paper worked well with liquid solvents, which is kind of sad, but it wasn't probably made for that. I can still layer because I dissolved the wax. And there's still texture here. It is just a lot flatter than on the rest. But it has made it more accepting of another layer of color. I can't layer up here anymore as well. It won't really take this dark color. Now I get also a smoother finish down here, but I don't like that. I ruined the texture. So yeah, so it did. You can use it with colored pencils. But I think you'll have to use quite a good deal of a liquid solvent to get any kind of layering going, because up here it feels kind of waxy. Out here where I got 4 or 5 layers, or how much. Over here where I didn't layer so much, I can still add to it. It holds on quite well to the pigment. I can't really move it. But now, again, this is hard pencils. So they also stick better to the paper than the soft. It can be done. Now it has the texture keep on showing through, especially here where I'm just dry blending it. And that's a matter of taste, if you like that or not. I kind of like it because it gives it a look of, I mean, you can see it's a drawing, and I think that's quite okay. And it's also okay, you can see it is drawn on paper and stuff like that. So, but others absolutely hate that kind of stuff, and they will be using more like watercolor paper and stuff like that. And that is just fine as well. So their hard pencils are okay. Let me try and maybe mimic this drawing again with the softer pencils here. The color soft. I just need to find myself a dark color for shading. There. Dark brown. Do something over here. Try and do a different shape. More maybe like a garden snail shape. Yeah, as I expected, this works easier for the soft pencil. The soft pencils really like the heavy texture paper because it pulls a lot of pigment off the pencil as soon as you touch it. So you get a lot of pigment in each pencil stroke. And the color softs have always performed well for me on rough paper. so I'm not surprised. This is working okay. They don't work well on smooth paper because you very, very quickly end up having filled the tooth with color because they give off so much of themselves on every time you go over the paper. So they really, but on rough paper like this you can add a lot more layers. I'll work it over a few more times. On smooth paper it will color soft. You're lucky if you get more than 2 or 3 layers. But here you get some more layers, so you can kind of work things over a few times and build up your shading and colors and stuff. I said it before in the other videos, I should use these for making the base layers on a colored pencil drawing, and then use the hard pencils for detailing, because that's what they each are good for. But this is a paper test, so I really want to feel how they feel on the paper. So that's I'm quite pleased with this. That's okay. And I'm not even gonna bother. Yes, I'm gonna bother. I'm tired of looking at the same handful of pencils here. And that's broken, so I won't take it. Take this and this and that one, and just stick the others back in here. Feel better than any of the other papers I've tried this on. Let's see how it goes once I start wanting to cover areas. Oh, it actually goes on quite nicely. Do I have a paper where these actually work on? Wow. It even smears okay. Wow. That's cool. I'm happy about that, because the other pastel papers have really been with these. This is actually quite okay. They still feel scratchy, but at least I can do something meaningful with them. So, I'm just very finicky about what kind of paper I use them on. I can actually make a decent drawing with these. That's fantastic. So, I'd say this paper is totally approved for this matter. That's my... I'd say for colored pencils it's only okay because it is a little struggling with the hard pencils. And it is actually okay, good for pastel pencils. So I am quite pleased with this result. Let's see if I can get the camera out a little bit. Oh, the zoom is on still. So yeah, Fabriano Tiziano 160 GSM. I quite approve of this, and I expect this to work quite well with my pastels as well. The other pastels, the soft pastels and the oil pastels. So this would actually, if I'm really happy about that as well, then I got a type of paper that is very versatile and I can use for several things, and that would be a plus. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching.